Hello everyone, I'd like to speak for a moment about the Admiral Graf Spee. This is Ergot. Admiral Graf Spee is really one of my favorite ships, even though it's only tier 6. It has very powerful guns for its tier, and very maneuverable. It is a very good ship all around. I find that the battleship style setup really it coordinates well with learning how to play the Gneisenau and the Tirpitz. It has the same kind of battle setup. Mine has the advanced turret, and it's got the extra sonar and precise aiming. For the equipment loadout, I chose the main battery modification and both steering gear modifications because I want to be able to turn and keep my main guns on target as much as possible. One of the things that really is challenging when learning to play this ship is the way that the torpedoes are set up. The torpedoes are in fact on the rear of the ship, and they do not fire forward really at all. I find that they work best when I am turning away from the target and the target is chasing, and then it is very effective because I can usually get off both torpedoes at the same target in a rapid succession. The other thing that tends to get me in the ship is the fact that the armor is very thin. It's about equivalent to a heavy cruiser, which it is, and you tend to be a little cavalier and go into battleship range with another battleship, and you would fare as well as you would in any other heavy cruiser, which is not good. So that is my assessment. It's a very good ship. I like it. It does have a steep learning curve. Once you get over that, I have found it to be very powerful and fun to play. This is Ergo signing out.
Thanks, Ergo, for that great intro. Here's my build on the Graf Spee, and I completely agree with you. She is definitely one of my favorite ships. I haven't had her for long, but as you can see, I already have the historical camo on her. And the only reason I do that is when I have a ship that I actually really, really enjoy. So, my Graf Spee also has the main battery traverse speed as the elite bonus. But in terms of equipment, I actually have a secondary build. The reason being that for me, the secondaries, I use them quite a lot, especially when I'm fighting against destroyers, because the main batteries tend to overpenetrate, so I have to reload high explosive, and they have a somewhat slow reload. So when I'm brawling with DDs, I tend to use my secondaries quite a bit more, and I see her like a small version of the Gneisenau, just like you said, And my German battleships, starting from that, are basically always secondary builds. So, this is not a battleship. She's a pocket battleship, if you want. But we'll actually do, in case anybody's wondering why we don't have a historical section on this one, we'll actually be doing a special video about that, just about that. So, something to look forward to. Anyway, the other two slots, I've got the same setup. I've got her completely on steering. So, that gets her to, at least in my build, to, 29,000 hit points, same as yours. 8 seconds turn time, which is acceptable. And I am stuck with the 7.2 seconds main battery rotation, which isn't great. But I do find that, again, if I have to maneuver quite a lot and I have to knife fight destroyers, I tend not to use the 280 mils quite that much. I tend to use the 150 mils a lot more. And I've got the reload down to under 7 seconds. With a 7 kilometer range, they are quite effective against destroyers. The main batteries, by the way, are in a really sweet spot against light cruisers. So you'll find that sometimes at these tiers, if you play Battleship, the 350 mils that you get occasionally overpenetrate light cruisers, but the 280 mils, I've had salvos against Nuremberg where every hit was a citadel. They are quite brutal. Other than that, this is pretty much the same setup. She tends to borrow the commander from She tends to borrow my commander from the Hitler. So he isn't quite as far up as I would like him to be, but we're getting there. And definitely the marksman skill is something to use, but the recon and surveillance is already quite useful for using the Hydra. I tend to play my Graf Spee extremely aggressively, just like a small scale Gneisenau. And while that occasionally gets me into trouble, I find that I can actually brawl battleships as long as I'm smart about it and I don't just go broadside to them. Because like you said, she's a cruiser. She has good armor for a cruiser, but she is still just a cruiser. So let's do some battles. So Ergot opens up this one in his Graf Spee, and he's up against an almost complete tier 6 battle. No battleships on the enemy team, two destroyers, the rest is all light cruisers. So let's go. They're playing Bay of Storms, and Bay of Storms has the tendency to have a lot of destroyers hanging around the endpoints of the center island, because it's kind of a natural ambush section for them. So that's always a place to watch out for. He spawns on the left flank and keeps the AP loaded because, well, if you find light cruisers, they're actually quite useful. Now the Graf Spee is a very sturdy ship, like I said, for a cruiser, especially for a tier 6 cruiser, but she is no battleship. She does have a very decent health pool, and you can play her a lot more aggressively than you would play other light cruisers at this tier. And we're spotting a first target here. So Ergot's heading towards the edge point. That's where the Nicholas is heading as well. And he's got something almost in range. There's the Pensacola. Yeah, you've got a Farragut and a Gnevny. So the chances are, okay, one destroyer is on the right flank. Something's targeting him. He's spotted, but he can't really see anything. So that's a good indication that there's actually a destroyer somewhere. Or it was the Pensacola, maybe. So he fires, opens up at the Pensacola, and there's the Farragut. If that Farragut makes its way out and pokes around, it'd be a good time to use the Hydra. Locks onto the Galissoniere. Galissoniere has torps as well. So he fires off some respective torps, but I think the friendly ship's in the way. But the Galissoniere, oh, there come the Farragut torps. Yeah, he must have poked around the corner of the island. So Ergot fires up the engines, but he's probably going to take a couple of those. And there comes some more Galissoniere torps as well, so he has to slow down again. Oh no, sorry. Was that a Gnevny that came around here, or did they both come around here now? I'm not quite sure who sent which torps. So he's trying to turn the ship around to get these rear torpedo launchers, just in case the Gnevny decides to turn that way. And just gets some distance, opens up with the secondaries. At this range, the main guns, there comes the second spread. The main guns are usually not very effective at this range. They're just going to overpen. Let's see. Yeah, he's actually got one penetration. So Gnevny being a relatively sturdy destroyer, and oh dear, he runs right into the torpedoes. So the Gnevny is down, and there comes the Farragut as well. So he's got both destroyers to deal with. Now you're in a super heavy cruiser, you could say. And they're not necessarily the best equipped to deal with destroyers, but yeah, there we got another penetration. So you get penetrations with the armor piercing, but you also get lots of overpens. I tend to switch to high explosive against destroyers, even though it's really annoying with the reload. So it's turning around. The torpedo's already reloaded, and like you said, she's got a really good. She's got a really good rear arcs from her torpedoes. There's a Pensacola. What's the battle looking like? They've lost a destroyer and a cruiser somewhere. Pensacola is probably not going to run into these.
Target hit.
He's on relatively low health, so he has to be a bit careful. I'm not sure what that Pensacola is doing there. Now no one's there. Someone's targeting him. Now the Pensacola is targeting him with the secondaries, but he got the guns the wrong way around. So he's firing another wide spread against the Pensacola. I probably would have used the narrow spread here, to be honest. But the Pensacola seems to be rather not interested and just gives broadside to a Graf Spee, which is generally very unhealthy. So Ergot fires it into her side, and she's very lucky not to get Citadel there, but the secondaries can take her. No, the Farragut beats into it. Right, that's this side completely cleaned up. Well done. He's got two destroy. Oh, there comes the Farragut still.
Target locked.
So Ergot's playing on hard mode here. He's not using his hydro. I would have popped the hydro, but his torpedo sense already tells him that the torpedoes are coming, so he's got the ship in reverse. There's no chance that the Farragut's going to hit him with his torps. Yeah, they're going to miss by a country mile. And yeah, the Nicholas takes him out. And well deserved. Ergot gets the battle star for this one, with some good torpedo dodging. And some knife fighting against other destroyers. So, given that we both really like this ship, I'm going to have a go as well with my setup. So here we've really seen Ergot's preference for the turret traverse, and it makes sense, right? If you're playing it, if you're maneuvering a lot, you're knife fighting destroyers a lot, you're trying to use the main guns. It does make sense. I am playing this slightly differently, so let's go and have a look at that one. Alright, I'm in top tier battle, and we've got a very dangerous player in a Molotov out there, so gotta keep an eye out for him. Playing Silent Shoal, so the other cruiser's on the left flank, so I'm probably going to turn right and get behind that island over there, because that is a common destination for enemy ships to come around that island, especially destroyers like to ambush over there. And I'm in a hydro cruiser, so while I'm not in a light cruiser, but destroyers are not my primary target, I can still do a lot of damage to them. I put my torpedoes on narrow spread because I do like, and here again you see the arcs. She actually has workable forward arcs as well, but the rear arcs are definitely better. So let's see where that Nicholas is going. It looks like the other battleship's following us as well. And there's another destroyer, which currently sits in an ambush position besides the center island. Is he coming out there too? Oh, it looks like we've got ourselves a bit of a lemming train here. Oh yeah, the Okhotnik comes with us as well. Okay, so the Okhotnik actually goes in front of the island, which is extremely brave, because you're basically out in the open and you have no way of turning anywhere. I would usually not recommend doing that. But, well, he spots a Furutaka, and the Furutaka probably spots him as well. So it gets a little bit crowded here. I'm actually popping my hydro, which was unnecessary because I forgot that the Okhotnik actually YOLO'd through the other side of the island. Now it gets a little crowded here because we're all trying to get across the corner, but at least my hydro is going to spot any torpedoes coming out from the Furutaka, because the Furutaka is a Japanese cruiser and she does have torpedoes. So in case she drops some long-range ones our way, get some shots out against the Furutaka. And here come my secondaries. And my secondaries are already on reload just when the shells hit. So at this distance, I can do relatively frequent shots. Oh, there's the Nicholas, and there's the Molotov. So we got lucky here. Yeah, the Okhotnik YOLO'd and got killed, which is unsurprising. But we've got 1-2 ships here, and our cruiser on the left flank stands relatively alone. So I'm gonna get some shots out of Nicholas, switch over to high explosive, because yeah, my armor piercing is just over penetrating at this range. The Nicholas seems to stop. I wonder if he's got torpedoes away because he's not firing his guns. Well, if he decides to be stationary over there, I can certainly oblige him with just unloading into him. There, and you see the high explosive does, well, less damage than the armor piercing, but it's not going to over-penetrate. So, even though it's a German high explosive and it's pretty bad, I've got the secondaries on 7 seconds reload. So, yeah, that Nicholas is really not going to have a good time. It goes, and the Furutaka is dead. So I can switch back to armor piercing because we do have the Molotov over there. And like I said, the Molotov looks like a bit of a dangerous player. So let's see what he's up to. I'm certainly very well equipped to deal with him. Let's see what he's going to try and do. So First shot's out. He goes undetected for a second behind the island. Okay, that's 2 full pens. Good hits. And yeah, he definitely seen me as well. Firing high explosive, which makes sense. That's anti-air fire. Although the Soviet... can I lob this? Can I lob this? No, I cannot lob this. The Soviet armor piercing is actually relatively good. So I'm actually rushing this guy. I don't see a reason not to. I want to get in secondary range. There comes the Citadel. The secondaries are going to hurt. Now he's going to have torpedoes away. So I'm just putting her in reverse because my Hydra is on cooldown. And there come the... Oh no, sorry, actually I have it active, my Hydra. So I know where the torpedoes are coming the second he fires them. So there's no problem in dodging these. I could use my own torpedoes, but he's in a light cruiser. He's probably going to dodge them. There's no reason to do that. I can literally just gun him down because I've got 280mm main guns. And I am actually over-penetrating the Molotov here a little bit with the mains, but my secondaries can do the works as well. And if I get a good hit, I get into the... I get a Citadel, or at least full penetration there. He's not going to have a good time. There he goes. That's a couple of good full hits, and he's down. And it looks like the battle is pretty much over already, so our gamble played off. We've pushed the right flank. Actually, one of our battleships and the cruiser on the left flank. Great job doing this, guys. Holding there. Nice while we were pushing the right flank, and we've murdered pretty much anything that came down there. There's a destroyer somewhere out. Oh, there he is, yeah. But he runs into our cruiser on the left flank, so there's nothing I can do to help. I'm just going to quickly dodge these air-launched torpedoes. Take one. Got lucky there that I'm not getting a flood. And there's a New York who looks to be stationary. So I'm going to rush him. I mean, the battle is won, pretty much, unless something extreme happens. So I'm just going to rush him. My forward torpedo arcs are okay. And I can just use the armor piercing against that. He gets some airdrops. Yeah, that hurt, yes, but I can take that once or twice. And I'm in torpedo range, so now I'm going to have to give a bit more broadside than I usually would like to. But I have enough health to pull that off. Now he doesn't seem to be moving at all, so I'm not assuming that he's trying to bait me. I'm assuming that he literally is just stationary there. So there comes another armor piercing salvo. I duck under that one. So now he's dead because before he's going to reload, I'm going to have him shredded to bits. That's 4 torpedo hits. Secondaries, main guns. Can we still get him? Come on, come on, come on. Secondaries, go secondaries. There we go. And the New York is down. Here comes some more airdrop torpedoes, and they still wouldn't have killed me. But that's how I like playing the Graf Spee. She is... I like playing very aggressively, to the point that I'm almost reckless with this thing. And I'm getting the impression from Ergot's videos that he's doing the same thing. And yeah, the 280 mils are actually quite good. I really enjoy them against other cruisers. Against destroyers I tend to switch to high explosive. But as you can see, I've done 17,000 points of damage with my secondaries. I often rely more on my secondaries than on my primaries for the work. So that's it for today. That is the Admiral Graf Spee, one of the favorite ships of both myself and Ergot. And huge thanks to Ergot for doing the recordings and all the work and getting the material in. Thanks a lot, and hope you're all having a good holidays. Because that's it for today. See ya. Bye.